She was standing in the corner of my room, her grin stretched wide, her eyes locked straight on me. They led me back through the trees, down the trail and toward the glow of my uncle's house. The kitchen lights spilled out into the night, my uncle pacing frantically on the porch until he saw us. Relief washed over his face as the officers guided me inside and sat me down at the table. One of them knelt beside me. "All right, kid. Tell me what happened. Where'd you go?" he asked. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. "We were just exploring," I said. "The trail's out back, and then we came across this campsite, like someone had been living out there. Fire pits, bones, clothes." The officer scribbled something in his notebook, then looked at me. "Did you happen to see anyone else?" I hesitated, my hands trembling in my lap. Yes, my aunt. I saw her. She was in the trees. She fell, her legs." I cut myself off, shaking my head. "Did you find her out there?" The officer's expression hardened. He gave me a small shake of his head. "No one else. Just you." I leaned forward, my voice cracking. "But I swear, she was there. She was laughing and—" "Easy, son," he interrupted gently, resting a hand on my shoulder. He glanced at another officer. "Call in an ambulance. Possible concussion. He's not making a lot of sense." I sat back, staring past, my chest heaving. No one believed me. The officer decided I needed to be checked out. Within the hour, I was in the back of an ambulance, a cold stethoscope against my chest, bright lights making my head pound. After a series of tests and questions, the paramedics finally cleared me. No concussion, no injuries, just a scared kid who got lost in the woods. I was then brought back to my uncle's. The next 3 days passed quietly, almost too quietly. No laughter in the woods, no bodies in my bed. Aunt Marie was simply gone. Meals came and went. The house felt normal, and for the first time since arriving, I almost let myself relax. Almost. On the third night, while we sat in the living room, surrounded by scattered toys, Austin leaned closer, fidgeting nervously, with something in his hands. His voice was low and uneasy. "She's not gone for good," he murmured. "It's happened before. She disappears for a while, but then she comes back." He wouldn't meet my eyes after that, and I didn't press him. That night, I tried calling my parents again, desperate to hear their voices, to explain what had happened, but every time I dialed, the line went dead, or the call wouldn't even connect. My uncle brushed it off as spotty service, but the knot in my stomach only tightened. I was still trapped here, and Aunt Marie's absence no longer felt like safety, only a countdown. My parents were supposed to get me the following night. Just one more night, I told myself. One last night, and then I'd be gone from this place forever. That thought was enough to calm me, and I ended up falling asleep earlier than usual. But sometime in the night, I woke up to the sound of thunder cracking across the sky. Rain hammered the roof, and a heavy tree branch outside tapped rhythmically against my window. At first, the noise unsettled me, but then I settled back against my pillow. I'd always loved the rain. It usually made me feel safe. I lay there watching the branch strike the glass, each gust of wind making it scratch and bump like fingers tapping to be let inside. Another roll of thunder boomed overhead, and for a moment the whole house shook. Then came the lightning. The room lit up white for a sliver of a second, and in that instant, I saw her, Aunt Marie. She was standing in the corner of my room, her grin stretched wide, her eyes locked straight onto me. The flash faded, plunging the room back into darkness, but I knew she was still there. I froze in fear, unable to move, my breath shallow and ragged. Another crack of thunder shook the house. Another flash of lightning filled the room, and I watched in horror as her legs re-broke beneath her, crunching as she snapped down to the floor. My voice cracked as the words tore out of me. "What do you want?" The only answer was laughter. Broken, jagged laughter that rattled the walls. Then came the sound, the sickening thud of her body hitting the floor again and again as she lurched toward me. Closer, closer, and closer. The bed shifted as she climbed onto it, the mattress dipping beneath her weight. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe as her face pressed close to mine. "It's all just a joke," she whispered. The stench of her breath hit me, rotting, foul, like roadkill left in the sun. My stomach turned, bile rising in my throat. And then, light. Every lamp in the room flared to life at once, a sickly haze filling the air just like that first night. I blinked hard, covering my face from the sudden brightness. When I looked again, she was gone. I didn't sleep again that night. I lay, frozen under the covers, staring at every corner of the room until the first light of morning finally crept in through the blinds. And by the time the sun was up, my parents' car was already pulling into the driveway, earlier than expected. Relief hit me so hard I nearly cried. Inside, Austin muttered another apology, eyes downcast, as though he carried some quiet shame he couldn't put into words. My uncle pulled my dad aside, the two of them speaking low and serious in the kitchen. When they returned, my uncle's face was drawn and troubled, his eyes flicking toward me as though measuring whether or not to say more. Meanwhile, my mother looked around the house with growing impatience. "Where's Marie?" she asked sharply. "I really thought she'd be here to say hi this time." No one answered. Soon enough, we were in the car, heading down the long gravel road that led away from my uncle's property. My dad gripped the steering wheel tight, jaw clenched, silent the entire ride. My mom hummed softly beside him, a tune that seemed far too cheerful for the weight pressing down on me. I begged them to listen, to believe me. I told them everything, of course, about the trails, the campsite, the laughter, the black goo, and last night's horror in my room. My words tumbled over themselves in desperation, but neither of them responded. My dad stared at the road, stone-faced, while my mother's humming never faltered. The days that followed blurred together. Home felt safer, but not whole. My parents acted as though nothing had happened, as though my week at my uncle's had been ordinary, and every time I even tried to bring it up, they brushed it off. "You're fine now," they said. "It's over." But it wasn't, and I was the only one who knew that. One afternoon, not long after making my second post on here, I came home, sweaty and tired from playing. And that's when I saw my dad sitting at the kitchen table. His face was pale, serious, the kind of look that made my stomach drop before he even said a word. "Sit down," he said quietly. And I did. I obeyed. My heart pounding, he leaned forward, elbows on the table, struggling to find the right words. "Your mom?" he began, voice tight. "She had a car accident while we were away. Nothing major, but she's been having some side effects from the medication they gave her." His eyes flicked up to meet mine, searching, pleading almost, as if he needed me to accept that explanation without question. At first, it wasn't bad, but, well, he added. I nodded, but the knot in my stomach only tightened. Why don't you go see her? He added, forcing a small smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. She's been asking for you. I walked slowly down the hallway, the air growing heavier with every step. Her door was closed, a faint shadow of movement shifting beneath the crack. I reached out, my hand hovering over the knob, my pulse thundering in my ears. The door creaked open and there she was, sitting on the edge of the bed. Back straight, head tilted slightly, as if she had been waiting for me. Her face was caked in makeup, much lighter than her natural skin tone, and she wore blue and green eyeshadow, bright red lipstick, which wasn't exactly perfect. She smiled when she saw me, too wide, too still. What happens next is a different story, for a different time. Maybe I'll share the story about my mom one day soon. Maybe I'll write a part 4, as the story doesn't really end here. Thank you for staying until the end of the show. I appreciate you giving me some of your time, and I look forward to seeing you again. If you can tell me what you enjoyed about today's episode, that will help me so I can know what things to give you more of. This story comes from Reddit user landobandoz, and I really enjoyed how this installment maintained the family horror atmosphere while introducing a devastating new twist that whatever is affecting Aunt Marie might be spreading or transferable. The lightning illuminated bedroom scene was genuinely intense, and using the storm's natural rhythm to build suspense before the reveal was most spectacular. I do hope that my own narration was able to do that particular scene justice, let alone the entirety of the story. And the revelation about his mother exhibiting Aunt Marie's symptoms really recontextualizes the entire journey home, suggesting that the horror wasn't about escaping a place, but about something that follows you. The makeup description callback to part 1 was an excellent detail that immediately signals what's happening without needing to over-explain it. Also, it took over a year, but we're finally back on Spotify and all other platforms. The link to my podcast and this story as well will be in the description down below. And if you want to listen to more of my voice, you can just listen to all the episodes in this series here. Furthermore, if you have a story you would like to recommend to me, you can reach out to me via Reddit, Discord, or email. Those methods of communication will be placed in the description for your convenience. Again, if you enjoyed today's episode, tune in for the next story or just go back and catch the last one. But until then, I hope you watch the shadows that lurk just beyond your sight. Thank you for listening, and to all, a good night.